Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me in another of my monologues. Today I want to show you something which perhaps people should have known, perhaps should have looked at from 1957, I think it is, in 2020. And particularly 2021, when they were rolling out a certain something that everybody lined up for. I say everybody, of course not everybody did line up for it. Some clever, critical thinkers, common sense people who thought, why should I just jump when the government says jump, didn't, of course. But the majority of people who are quite happy to follow the guidance, the speed of science and everything else, did, and I'll show you that in a moment. But first, I just want to promote a little event that's going on in Thetford. If you happen to be in Suffolk and Norfolk area in East Anglia, you might want to whiz over to Thetford, I think on the 19th of July, so you've got plenty of time. Here it is. It's the Thetford Truth and Freedom Festival, and in a pub with beer, although that looks like lager. I prefer a real craft ale. On Friday the 18th, Saturday the 19th of July 2025 this year. And it is a Stand for Freedom event as well. And there are a number of people who are going to be there. I believe I'm going to be there speaking, and a number of other people who will be at the event. Anyway, so do check that out. The Thetford Truth and Freedom Festival. And I don't know if I'm just looking here to see if there's a website on there. But there's guest speakers and real ales, live music, and all sorts of other bits and pieces. So if you fancy it, do come along, put it in your diary. It's always good to meet up with like-minded people, isn't it, at an event like that, and chew the cud. Put the world to rights is what we like to do. So anyway, there we go. Right, so on to what I want to show you this morning as I record this. It's something called The Poisoned Needle that was sent to me. Let's have a little look at it. Here it is. It's a booklet. I've got a PDF sent to me. The Poisoned Needle. Now, I'm going to have to try and zoom in on this so that we can see a bit more. This was by somebody called Eleanor McBen, I think it is. Or is that McBeam? I can't quite read that, but maybe you can. Anyway, it talks about... Oh, yes, McBean there. Eleanor McBean. Suppress facts about the vaccination. I say the vaccination in general, which is interesting. Now, I can't obviously read you the whole book because that would be a nonsense, but let's have a look at some extracts, and I want to have a look at the contents first of all. The Poisoned Needle. Where have the great strides of medical science taken us? It asks. And then it goes on to the inside story. It talks about the smallpox declined. It talks about various other bits and pieces. I've only had a cursory look at this myself, but I tell you, the opening is quite fascinating. And of course, the title really says it all, The Poisoned Needle. And as you can see here, various other truths. Now, I will leave a link in the description of where you could get your own copy. Just download it and have a read and let me know what you think. It is quite... a fascinating looking book, cowpox and syphilis, comparison of smallpox, more evidence. Does vaccines at any time ever really worked? And should we be given another vaccine, what would we think? Excuse me, slurping a cup of coffee whilst I have a look. The Hidden Dangers, Chapter 10, absolutely fascinating. So you can see it's like several hundred pages, this thing. It goes on and on and on. So I want to get into here. Let's have a look at the preface here. For the past 2,000 years, physicians have been looking into the wrong direction for the cure of disease. Their worse than useless practice in killing germs with poison drugs has never and can never solve the problem of disease. During the Dark Ages, before the introduction of improved nutrition and sanitation, the world was intermittently visited with epidemics of smallpox. The cause was stubbornly ignored, and the seeds for more disease were sown when vaccination was brought into popular use. This infusion of poison injected into the bloodstream of the masses only served to intensify the disease in some cases, suppress the symptoms in others, and create new and more serious diseases in still others. So, with the passing of years, we have seen this begotten child of ignorance grow into a Frankenstein monster of immense proportions that moves relentlessly forward, grinding underfoot the multitudes that throng its path. Through the lethal power of this poisoned needle, the simple, here we go, zymotic, is that? Contagious disease of the past have been devolved into the horrors of the present, our terrifying and expanding crop of killer diseases. Many of these strange mystery diseases that battle the entire medical world are the sordid products of vaccine poisons that disturb the chemical balance of the body and interfere with the normal functioning. I mean, come on. This is kind of obvious, is it not, if you're going to stick these horrible things into the body? All these medically made atrocities are far worse than smallpox or any of the other eruptive diseases that nature provides as a means of expelling the accumulated poisoned waste from the abused body. This interference with the balance economy of nature has multiplied the problems beyond the power of science to control. Our worst epidemics now are epidemics of vaccination, in which more people are killed every year by vaccinal diseases than by the diseases that the vaccinations were supposed to combat. Complete freedom from disease can scarcely be found except in remote islands or isolated communities that have been invaded by medical mischief and commercialized products. It is our proud civilization to be degraded, corrupted, and destroyed by its own inventions designed for selfish profit or exploration of the race? Vaccination, instead of being the promised blessing to the world, has proved to be a curse of such sweeping devastation that it has caused more death and disease than war, pestilence, and plague combined. There is no scourge, with the possible exception of atomic radiation, that is more destructive to our nation's health than this moment of human deception, this slayer of the innocent, this crippler of body and brain, the poisoned needle. I mean, you don't need to read the rest of the book, really. That preface there sums it right up, but it goes on into all the information that you could possibly want to know. And as I said at the beginning, this is something that perhaps, it was published in 1957. Who read this in 2020 and 2021, in which the idea that a vaccination that everybody would have to have would save us at the speed of science, and create a better immune system? And now we see the results of this. If the one thing that comes out of this recent event is that vaccination is, in and of itself, absolutely no use to man or beast, and that we should outlaw it immediately. We should never do it, certainly with children when they're born and they're given all these different sort of drugs and pumped into them, more now than ever before. And no wonder we're seeing some terrible cases of things like autism, ADHD, and so forth. If we put these dreadful chemicals into children, what do you expect is going to happen? The human race has managed for century after century after century, for thousands of years, it has managed to survive without having a needle full of poisons shoved into the body. And now, what are we doing? We are diminishing the body and our ability to live a strong and healthy life. And I say we, of course, it's not you and I. It is these idiots who've been given white coats and all this medical training which have been duped. And of course, it has now made me, on my own personal journey, look at the NHS, for example, as public enemy number one. That why would you go there? I have no wish to visit a doctor. I have no wish to visit the NHS, unless, of course, it's things like bone setting and those sort of things like road traffic accidents and that plastering up, simple procedures, stitching up gushing veins and things like that. But when it comes to all those petrochemicals, I just wonder if that is such a good idea. Well, there we are. I will leave you the book, The Poison Needle, in the link in the description. You can download that. And why not send it? Why not send it to your GP, your medical practice, to your doctors, to your MP? Why not send this book around? Because I think if they are planning another pandemic and they are going to attempt to force everyone to take a jab for the children, for the sake of the children, then perhaps all these people, these media people, these MPs, these people who would persuade it, the doctors and everybody else, ought to perhaps read this book and get a proper opinion, a proper thought, and decide actually shoving poison into the body is not a good idea. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next one.